To the world, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos represented something precious in the often volatile landscape of celebrity relationships: enduring normalcy. Their mornings on Live with Kelly and Ryan, and now Live with Kelly and Mark, were a masterclass in playful domesticity, filled with inside jokes about their marriage, gentle ribbing about their 3 children, and the easy, worn-in comfort of a couple who had not just survived Hollywood, but had thrived in it on their own terms. Their love story, beginning as young actors on All My Children and culminating in a secret Las Vegas wedding, was the stuff of romantic legend, a steady flame in an industry of flash-in-the-pan fireworks. This carefully curated image of health, vitality, and marital bliss made the revelation of Mark's serious health diagnosis all the more seismic. There was no public precursor, no gradual decline the paparazzi could track. One moment they were their usual bantering selves. The next, the universe of their partnership was irrevocably altered by a few words from a doctor. The diagnosis, the specifics of which the couple has wisely and fiercely kept private, acted like a fault line, suddenly visible, running directly through the foundation of their shared life. For Kelly, the shock was not merely that of a worried partner, but of a woman whose public persona was intimately, professionally intertwined with the vibrant, healthy man beside her. The initial period following a dire diagnosis exists in a suspended, surreal reality. For Kelly and Mark, this meant navigating a tsunami of fear and uncertainty within the fortress of their family, while the outside world continued to see only the unbroken shoreline. This duality is a particular cruelty of public life. Kelly has since alluded to this period in rare, unguarded moments, describing the out-of-body experience of receiving life-altering news, the way time seems to fracture into before and after. In the before, concerns might have been about ratings, college applications for their kids, or what to make for dinner. In the after, the vocabulary changes overnight, becoming littered with medical jargon, treatment options, survival statistics, and the haunting, unanswerable question of why. The shock for Kelly would have been multifaceted: fear for Mark's life, terror at the prospect of losing her partner of decades, anxiety about their children's well-being, and the daunting logistics of becoming a caregiver while maintaining a public-facing career that traded on joy and lightheartedness. This private earthquake fundamentally reorders priorities. What once seemed critical, a work commitment, a social obligation, a minor marital disagreement, is instantly rendered trivial. The couple is thrust into a crash course in a subject they never wanted to study, forced to become experts in a disease they never asked to know. The emotional labor is immense. Kelly, known for her formidable energy and control, would have faced the terrifying vulnerability of having no control at all. Her role shifted from wife and co-host to advocate, researcher, emotional anchor, and shield, protecting Mark's privacy in their family space to process the trauma.
The public persona versus the private reality. Returning to the live set after the diagnosis presented an almost insurmountable chasm between Kelly's internal reality and her professional duty. Her job, quite literally, was to be Kelly Ripa, the effervescent, quick-witted, relatable morning show host. But how does one access that persona when their heart is breaking in a hospital room or during a silent, anxious car ride to another specialist appointment? This is where the true shock of the situation crystallized for the public. Viewers and fans began to notice, not through any announcement, but through subtle, heartbreaking tells. The carefully applied makeup might not fully conceal the puffiness of tears shed off camera. The legendary chemistry with Mark, or later with Ryan Seacrest, might occasionally flicker, revealing a momentary distance in her eyes, a millisecond delay in her trademark laugh. She was performing wellness while living with worry, a high-wire act of emotional compartmentalization that few could sustain. Kelly has spoken about the strange comfort of the show's routine during this time, the forced normalcy of hair, makeup, and cue cards, providing a scaffolding for her day when her personal life felt chaotic. Yet this also meant her workplace became a stage for a double life: The banter about Mark's habits or their home life, once a source of genuine amusement, now carried a poignant, weighted edge. Every joke about his health or their future together was now filtered through the new, frightening context known only to them. The audience, unaware of the diagnosis, still laughed. Kelly and Mark participated in the ritual, but for them, the laughter existed alongside a silent, shared knowledge. The shockwaves through a family. A health crisis of this magnitude never impacts just the individual. It sends shockwaves through an entire family system. For Kelly and Mark's 3 children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, the diagnosis of their father represented a violent intrusion of adult fear into their world. Kelly's role as a mother instantly expanded to include crisis manager and emotional buffer for her children. She had to find the words to explain the unexplainable, to offer reassurance she herself might not have felt, and to maintain some semblance of stability in their home lives while the center of that home was under threat.
This familial shock often forces a rapid maturation. Children can become protectors, spouses become nurses, and the dynamics of who leans on whom can shift dramatically. For family in the public eye, this transition is complicated by the need to guard their private grief from speculation. Kelly had to shield her children not only from the full brunt of medical uncertainty, but also from the potential intrusion of the media. The family unit, typically a source of strength, becomes both a refuge and a locus of intense, shared stress. The simple, joyful moments of family life, a shared meal, a movie night, become sacred and fragile, tinged with the unspoken awareness that nothing can be taken for granted. The redefinition of strength and partnership. In the aftermath of the initial shock, a slow, painful recalibration begins. The diagnosis forces a renegotiation of the marital contract. The partnership is no longer just about love, companionship, and raising a family. It is now explicitly about survival. Kelly and Mark's relationship, already celebrated for its longevity, was now tested in the most profound way possible. For Kelly, strength would have had to be redefined. It was no longer about being the vibrant, indefatigable star, but about showing up in the quiet, ugly, untelevised moments. Strength was sitting through chemotherapy sessions, understanding complex medical charts, managing side effects, and being the calm voice in the middle of the night when fear became overwhelming. It was about allowing herself to fall apart in private so she could hold it together when it mattered most. Her famous Type A energy was now channeled into a meticulous, loving campaign for Mark's well-being. For Mark, the shock of the diagnosis is compounded by the vulnerability of becoming the patient. A man known for his physicality, charisma, and quiet confidence had to confront dependency, the potential loss of autonomy, and the fear of being a burden to his vibrant, busy wife. His role in the partnership shifted, requiring him to accept care, to surrender control, and to fight a battle that was ultimately his alone to wage, even with an army of support behind him. Their public appearances together during this period took on a new, deeper resonance. A simple touch on the arm, a held glance, a finished sentence. These small moments were no longer just signs of a happy marriage, but evidence of a ferocious, active solidarity. They were telegraphing, perhaps unconsciously, that they were in the trench together. The shock for Kelly was thus not a single event, but a continuous process of adaptation, a daily recommitment to a fight they never asked for. The unsolicited gift of perspective. In the landscape of profound shock, there often emerges, painfully and slowly, a brutal form of clarity. Kelly has hinted at this in interviews, speaking about how a crisis strips away all the bullshit. The diagnosis, while terrifying, functioned as a violent filter, instantly separating what mattered from what did not. Petty grievances, professional jealousies, societal pressures, all of it fell away, leaving only the core elements of life: health, love, family, and time. This forced perspective is the cruelest of gifts. It arrives wrapped in fear and loss, but it contains an undeniable truth. For a couple like Kelly and Mark, who have everything our culture tells us to want, fame, success, wealth, beauty, the diagnosis was a stark reminder that none of those things are a shield against human fragility. Their shocking journey, though private, became a universal parable about where true value lies. It highlighted that the most glamorous life is built on the same vulnerable mortal foundation as any other. The shock of the diagnosis does not end with a clear prognosis or the start of treatment, it merely evolves. It becomes the baseline from which a new normal must be constructed. For Kelly Ripa, this meant integrating this profound anxiety into the ongoing narrative of her life and career. It meant learning to live with what author Susan Sontag called the kingdom of the sick, as a permanent dual citizenship, even in the kingdom of the well where her job required her to reside each morning. Their decision to eventually have Mark join her as co-host was perhaps the ultimate testament to navigating this new normal. It was a statement of defiance and unity. It said, "This diagnosis is a part of our story, but it does not define us. We choose to face the world together, from the same couch as we always have." The easy chemistry they now display is hard-won, layered with the depth of shared struggle. The laughter is richer because they know its counterweight. The tragic diagnosis that shocked Kelly Ripa was not a tabloid headline, it was a lived, private cataclysm. The true story is not in the medical details, but in the seismic emotional shift it required of a woman, a partner, and a family. It is a story about the shock that lies in waiting for every seemingly perfect life, and the more profound shock of discovering the resilience required to meet it. Their journey, largely kept from public view, stands as a powerful reminder that behind the curated smiles of public figures are human hearts just as susceptible to breaking and just as capable of the quiet daily courage it takes to mend.